Hey, what is going on? Today, we're joined with Chris Chan from Toronto, Canada. He is a cybersecurity and auditing infrastructure manager for TD Bank. Chris, why don't you tell us more about yourself and your background?
Sounds good. Thank you, Thomas, for having me in your channel. So, as you already know, I'm a cybersecurity and IT infrastructure audit manager at TD Bank. So, my day-to-day involves really looking at, audits, risks and controls and processes, and really identifying weaknesses and findings across these different teams, whether security and engineering, architects, cybersecurity analysts, the processes, and really aligning, ensuring that they're aligned to, enterprise processes. Now, I'm also a CPA, a CISA, and a CIPS holder.
Mhm.
And prior to doing audits, I was in Deloitte. I was doing IT advisory, so I was doing a half and half of audits and also advisory. So designing risk and control frameworks and looking at control testing and design things like that. Before that, I was at Accenture, so I was doing IT consulting, so designing systems and implementing them. um, but the fun thing is I actually didn't start off in IT. In fact, my background is in accounting. So my undergrad was in accounting and business. As you already know, I'm a chartered professional accountant as well. But what kind of got me started into cybersecurity and IT infrastructure, I guess, was a mix of different elements.
Let's
Um,
say that one more time. It was
it was a
for
mix of different elements,
oh,
right?
different elements.
So
Okay. Mhm.
yeah. So it was, my interest in, developing websites at a young age, right? I knew how to code a little bit,
Mm.
but, eventually when I went to university, I started taking all these extracurriculars, designing websites and whatnot. But then what really drove me into a bit more into the IT space, the technical pieces, was my co-op license. So my university offered like co-ops, and in each of my co-ops, I had
Can you explain what a co-op is? I've never heard. Is that like an internship?
yes, it is.
Oh,
So,
okay. Is that
right.
just
So,
internships, but in Canada?
yes,
Okay.
I think the states actually have internships like
Mhm.
called co-ops too, probably. So, co-ops happen, not just in the summertime, so you can have them throughout the year. They
Mhm.
happen 4 months or so. So, we go on rotational basis. So my university had three, and I would say, two of three were in IT space. So that's where I got a lot more tech knowledge. And
Mhm.
so, by the time I finished my undergrad, I decided to say, hey, I have all this IT experience. Why not just kind of go into it? And that's why I got my first job in Accenture doing IT consulting. So
Gotcha.
that's my background.
Nice. And so so when you say IT consulting
Right.
at Accenture, wh- what kind of consulting were you doing?
Right. So a lot of it was, business and technology integration. So let's say a client has a new, PeopleSoft Salesforce solution, right? So a lot of it was really, meeting with the clients as a business analyst, right? To outline the business requirements, to redesign the business processes, re-engineer some of them if, they're a little bit different than
Mhm.
what's expected, right? But also as it goes into the technical phases, I'll become a solution architect, right? So,
Mhm.
designing, the architecture, looking at how we can integrate some of these to existing solutions or other technologies.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting because a lot of the clients and technologies I work on are different, right?
Mhm.
And as you kind of move on to different phases of the project, whether you're doing agile or SDLC, you assume different roles. And that's
Mhm.
what I like about it. And I gained a tremendous set of experience doing that kind of consulting.
Absolutely. And Accenture is a really reputable company for that too. So that's a
Mhm.
great place to come from. And so now you're doing the process auditing right now.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
kind of like you started out building the processes. Now you're in the
Right.
position to say, tell the guy you used to be, probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, how to fix it. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
Right. So when I first started off, it's more of designing the systems and designing, I guess, to some extent, some processes as well.
Mhm.
But nowadays, when you're an auditor, right, you look at the existing processes and controls and really determining if there's any weaknesses in them that can lead to risks being exploited. So that's really the main job of an IT auditor, right?
Hmm. Can you give me an example of like a process that could be exploited?
Right.
Because it sounds like I can't think of one myself, so I want to know kind of what would one be like?
Right. So let's say there was a privileged user, right?
Hmm.
Privileged users are people that have excessive rights. They're high priority, things like that, because you could basically do anything. You're Superman. But let's say you have five super users, and then one of them or two of them, you had passwords that's known to 10 other people, right?
Got it.
So right there, that's a risk itself because you have a lack of accountability, traceability. If you have a team of 10 people, then how do you know who's using it, right?
Right. Right.
And the people can use it and conduct inappropriate activities. So especially if
Hmm.
it's a privileged user, right? You
Hmm.
can, if you do things wrong, you can shut down the entire system.
Yeah.
So that's where the risks come in. And so this is one area where, when you're doing IT audits or cybersecurity types of audits, right? You look
Hmm.
at different controls, and access management is definitely one part.
Yeah. No, I worked at a company that was that example you gave. We had that, so
Mhm.
that's something good to
Yeah.
know. Okay. Okay. Cool. And before I cut you off about co-ops, did you want to finish anything else about your experience, how you got to where you are today?
I I think that's really it. Yeah, I mean, start off in accounting, studied it,
Mhm.
um, and then it's really I think like the Deloitte piece where it touches back into audit that kind of bridges off the accounting slash tech.
Mhm.
But throughout a lot of my day to day really relies heavily on that technical knowledge for cybersecurity and infrastructure. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And your title is cybersecurity manager, correct?
right.
So,
Audit manager. Yeah,
okay. And
right.
does that like include like direct reports, or do you kind of, or are you just managing the processes?
Right. So, at that level, depending on some units, you can have direct reports. For
Mhm.
me, I'm individual contributor, but I do have teams working with me when I manage an audit. So, I would
Got it.
delegate, design,
Mhm.
review the work, when they coach them and supervise them. So it's that sense where, when you're doing audits, you're as a manager, you're supervising, you're reviewing and assigning tasks.
I see. Okay. So you're kind
Mhm.
of like, so you're like a temporary manager on this
Right.
project, so to speak.
Right.
That's very
Right.
interesting, because the companies I've worked for, the cybersecurity engineer, if it's a medium-sized company, there's only maybe one or two, and they do this. So obviously, at a larger company like TD Bank, there's just one person who's dedicated just to only doing this. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know you go that deep into this type of job or this type of
Mhm.
work actually. Um, do you think, so to become what you do, understanding risk in the processes, do you think, you have a
Sorry,
very angry dog, man.
it's my dog.
Like, shut up, Thomas.
What's that?
Yeah, no problem. Does he want you to use headphones?
He heard a bird and then he was barking afterwards.
Okay, cool. I'm not gonna edit that out, by the way.
Okay.
But like like what is kind of like the traditional path to get that kind of job? I would imagine there is some technical side to it, right?
Yeah.
And then there would also be, a CISSP and maybe an ISACA certification are
Right.
probably there. This is not like an entry level or even mid level. This is kind of like between mid level, senior level, correct?
Right.
Mhm.
For my role
Yeah,
or
for
or
what you
just in
do.
general.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, for your role and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the audit of the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like more like senior to manager level
Mhm.
type of roles. We definitely have a variety of different roles. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with the audit hierarchy, right? So you start off as maybe a auditor, and then you start off at then become a senior auditor. Then
Mm,
in our case, our company we have a manager one and the manager two, and then
mhm.
senior manager and then the VP, right? So
Okay.
um, every company is different, but they usually have a couple of junior levels and have manager, and then maybe a senior manager or director level. Then
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. I never knew that was how the auditor hierarchy was and the kind of
Well,
the process.
that's more of the internal audit
Oh,
perspective,
okay.
right? But
Hmm.
for the things like Big Four and firms, they're similar, but then I think afterwards, from my senior manager level, you go into direct, and then sometimes just straight to partnership.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. Nice. So, and aside from this, you've been teaching on Udemy for several years,
Right.
and
Well, I mean, actually less than a year.
oh, less than a year. Okay, that
Yeah.
brings me to the next thing because we just found out you have a best-selling course now, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so that's quite an accomplishment for being less than a year on Udemy. So, tell me how what made you
How
want to
started?
teach classes? Yeah, and like kind of how that kind of journey.
Yeah, so I started, I think, around early July last year. I launched my first course. It wasn't in cyber or anything IT related, right? It was just a stock investing course.
Hmm.
At the beginning, I wanted to, I had a lot of, ideas on, hey, startup ideas and things like that. But I wanted to actually take that into play. So I decided to launch courses.
Hmm.
So, I started off launching different courses. Some, the first one is stocks and the second one is, cyber hygiene.
Hmm.
Afterwards, I started making a bit more on cybersecurity, like cybersecurity for artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
auditing, and so forth. And then, as I kind of got into the hang of it, I started making more. And um, aside from it, it's actually a lot of it's based on my passion because I always wanted to teach at even at university eventually, right? So, but at that time, to get a course published in university curriculum takes a lot of time, right? You got to go through reviews, approvals, a lot of different layers. So I decided to say, hey, you know, if I just make short courses online based on my own practical experience, my own knowledge, and either sell it out or give it online, at least I'm doing something. I'm contributing back, right? So
Right.
that was one of my primary, in addition to the startup idea, was one of my primary motives, right?
Hmm.
So as I started to do this, I got a hang of it. I had to learn how to market it myself. Market my courses, record it,
Hmm.
edit all the stuff. It was a truly amazing experience, right, from start to the end, right? But obviously, as you go through this, your progress, your results are showing up, and I think that's really encouraging. Especially, students would ask me, "Hey, when are you releasing, part three of this course or part two of this course?" Right? Sometimes I have great feedback. Obviously, sometimes there's negative comments as well, but I think at the end of the day, it really motivates you, right? When you see results done and people really appreciating your knowledge that you're sharing.
Hmm. Nice. No, that's really cool. And I had the same experience too. Like, um, in terms of getting a job in IT and helping other people, like it's extremely rewarding. I was actually just like you, like I always want to teach in university. I always thought it was like a cool job, but I think now it's like sharing your knowledge and to the younger generation is a really interesting thing you can do. So it's a really amazing way to expedite learning for somebody,
Right.
and it's like saves a lot of people hassle and headache. And I think that's like the true beauty of teaching somebody else. Do you and you also do you do anything else besides teaching? Right, you have a Facebook group as well, right? And
Yeah. Right. I have another startup called U Protege.
mhm,
So what it does is more of a one-to-one career coaching and job search essential. So
mhm,
there's really three main streams, right? One is training CPAs, right? One-on-one case writing. So for the Canadian CFE, right?
mhm,
That's what we're training people on. The other aspects is just really job search essentials. So resume, cover letters, mock interviews, and
mhm,
last bit was more of one-to-one career coaching. So helping people identify their strengths, weaknesses, and ways to map out a direction. So
mhm,
a lot of this I do with some of my business partners, and we all have a passion to really help students, help new grads and experienced hires. Right? We were there, we're probably there still in their shoes and all that, but it's really helpful because you learn in the process, but at the same time, people also getting that value service from you. So I really enjoy both, teaching online courses and also working with, you Protege.
Hmm. Nice, nice. No, that's cool. You sound like you're really busy.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add? Any tips, for folks who are trying to get into cybersecurity? Do you think what should people really know
Yeah.
from where you're standing now, and especially such a large company?
Right. I would say, cybersecurity is really a broad field, right? Just
Mhm.
like accounting, finance, marketing, there's different roles, different positions, right? At the end of the day, I think one of the best ways is to really first know what type of role you want to be in, right? You could be a security engineer, a security architect, a cybersecurity analyst, or even a cyber auditor, right?
Mhm.
So know what you want to be, and then second step would be really look at the job description and identify, the certifications, the education, and some of the items that you might be doing, right?
Mhm.
We all have different experiences and backgrounds, but I think identifying the the end goal that you want to be in, and then working it back helps you identify what you need to work on, right? So whether
Right.
it be more technical skills in
Mhm.
coding, right, or more technical skills in certain processes,
Mhm.
um, I think that's a right way for you to really identify. No one's going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to code everything. You're not going to be able to hack everything or have all
Right.
this technical knowledge, right?
Mhm.
So the best way is really identify a specific role or field that interests you and then work your way back.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's kind of like hard advice to hear, like especially when you're just starting out, because you're like,
Right.
I just want to get started. And
Yeah.
I think that's the same for every discipline in IT. Like for network
Yeah.
people, we always say like, well, just get your CCNA and see what happens. At
Yeah.
least you're in the right direction. I think Security Plus would be the same thing in
Right.
terms of cybersecurity, because at least opens the door to what everything you'll find, and then you can go from there, so to speak.
Right. And I've seen a lot of people start with like Security Plus. Eventually, as they get more, experience wise and the moving up, they start getting, SIPs and ZISMs and all these other, security certifications. But I
Yeah.
think it's a good start, right? Having
Mhm.
Security Plus, if you don't know much about IT or even cybersecurity, right? I think it's a good step. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just by going through the Security Plus, you'll already know if you're into it or not.
Right.
Like I went through it and I didn't like it. I was like, I don't see myself having a career here. But for some folks, they get into it and then they can't stop from there. So I think that's a good way to know as well if you're generally interested slash passionate.
Mhm.
So nice. Well, where can people find you, Chris?
Oh, like where they
Like
can locate me.
LinkedIn? Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
if
yeah,
people
yeah,
want to
yeah.
know more
So like
about
social
you and
media.
you protege. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, if you want to reach out to me directly, just to connect, LinkedIn, you just type in Chris Chan. If you're looking for my courses, I have a link in my LinkedIn, but you can
Mhm.
also find me on Udemy. Just type in technology accountant. I'm also on Skillshare, Orange QC,
Okay.
and One Education London, UK.
Okay.
Those have all my courses as well.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. I have my YouTube channel,
Oh
technology
yeah.
accounting. It's small, but it's just
Yeah.
starting out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me in all these different places. And then if you're interested in uProtege, www.uprotege.ca. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Nice.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Chris.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Boom. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Chris. I know I sure did. Thank you again, Chris, for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and learning from you. Now, if you guys want to know more about Chris and get in touch with him, his links are below in the description. So that's there for you. Anyways, if you are trying to break in IT or you just want to get better at resume writing, job hunting, yada, 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 check out my newsletter. I share all of my exclusive, juicy job hunting secrets there, resume writing techniques, interview strategies, job hunting tactics, all that good stuff. It's all there for you. So be sure to check that out. And not to mention, make sure you like and subscribe this video. Tell all your friends about it, share it in every Facebook group, yell it from the mountain. I'm just trying to reach more people and get some more help. Anyways, leave a comment below. What was your most favorite part about this video? What did you find most interesting that Chris shared today? I'm looking forward to reading it and replying to your comments later. Thank you so much, and until next time.